Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Not Another Fucking Podcast. I'm here with my guest today, Andrei Popa. Andrei, if you'd like to a little brief intro on who you are and what you do in the space.
Hey, nice being here. Thank you for inviting me. It's funny with the name of the podcast that you have. I actually joined a company like last year, and they rebranded to another network. They wanted to build a new blockchain, and I said, let's name it another network. As a same self-binary kind of level that it really is another network between all those new L1s and L2s coming up. Yeah, so I'm Andrei. I've joined the space in 2017. I've been doing a lot of things around here, from DeFi to launch pads to NFTs to I'm always a founder in the space. Which makes me in a pretty tight spot at this point because very few succeed. The market has been very harsh with past projects. So yeah, I don't know what exactly you wanted me to tell you how I joined the market, or in 2017 how I found about crypto, or
Yeah, let's start there. Like, how did you find about kind of like come into crypto?
First, I found about Ethereum, and I think Steemit in 2016, somewhere in November. A guy at a co-working space I was working on kept shilling us, and I was like clueless. But I think Ethereum was post ICO at that point.
Yeah. I think they ICO'd. I want to say 2016 or 2015.
At 15 October or something, or it was like $1 or something. It was very cheap. Ethereum was very cheap at that point, and I didn't give it any attention. And I had a digital agency, a small digital agency, like we were like 5 people building websites, brands, stuff like that. And also, I went to an event, and there was this guy from a big agency. I got to meet him and talk a bit about what I do, whatever. At some point, this guy called me to his offices. He had like 40 employees in his digital agency. And he was like, do you want to join a project and lead the project I'm building? And I was like, what's the project? He was like, it's in the blockchain area. I was, this was summer of 2017. I had zero exposure. It was a lot harder to get exposed to this, So, and first I said no. And he said, look, man, where you are trying to go, I'm already there. So, I'm trying to build a digital agency. I have one with 40 employees, and I'm telling you, let's go somewhere else. I already know what you need when you win this game, So I joined him. There was a medical ICO, the kind of, medical records on chain ICO. It was a low hanging fruit because you had like the security of the blockchain, the fact that nobody can tamper with it, Low hanging fruits. A lot of those ICOs were like this in early 2017. Very based on the technology itself. What can we do with those attributes? And I joined, and I remember reading the first Bitcoin white paper every day, going to like the office and feeling like more stupid each day because I couldn't get much.
Yeah. I mean, it's an intense read. Let's be real here.
I can't pay you, but if you never heard about it, and it was hard, but I was like, I need to read this every day until I'm not fucking stupid anymore.
Fair enough. That's my attitude.
I've got the fucking paper today. There is no AI to explain to you stuff. There are forums and stuff. It's only like 8 years ago, but the world changed so much. If I go to ChatGPT right now and tell him like, explain Bitcoin white paper to me like I'm 12.
Done.
So as soon as I started to learn more about the industry, I started writing the white paper, stuff like that. The SAC was with the Howey test and Huey test and stuff like that, a lot more about what's a security, what's not. The discussion was very legal frameworky at that point. Anyways, I left because it made no sense. I mean, the ICO itself, as soon as I started to understand the market more, I learned that there was no place for that in the market.
No.
It's a thin product.
It's true. And like the thing with, I guess a lot of people don't know, like in 2017, it's just an ICO craze, right? Like this was like, I think it was like sort of the equivalent to like meme coins in the last run, or actually NFTs maybe in the last run.
Or higher.
Yeah.
And that's for a very simple reason. I was actually talking to GPT writing an article exactly in this direction, because in 2017 there are few creators, developers, project owners, and a lot of people demanding a token. So there was an oligopoly kind of situation where many people wanted tokens from very few creators. So this led to like idealistic projects, like we are going to change the governance of the world with an DAO system, like Aragorn did, and they raised like 50 million. Like Civic raised 30 million for a new digital identity era.
Gosh,
like
I remember
Cyberpunk.
Civic. Yeah.
Civic still exists, by
It
the
does.
way.
It does. It does. I remember. I did buy some in the ICO actually, and I did well because a lot at that time, right? If you got in at the ICO more often than not, you were pretty
because
okay.
of over demand.
Yeah,
there was far more demand on the secondary market that you could feel in the first market. Nobody could. That's the whole point of things, right? If you get in, and nobody else can. I mean, if you can get in, the rest who cannot get in, they gotta buy it on the secondary market, and that's where a lot of projects failed because they raised as much as they could raise in the first market, and then who's going to buy the shit from you, man? If everybody already got in, who's there when you go on the DEX or when you go on an exchange? Who's there willing to to be like, oh shit, when I lost this opportunity, I gotta buy it more expensive.
It's like EOS, right? EOS over the whole they had an ICO over a year. And a lot of people don't even know like EOS is kind of I think they're rebranding now. And I to be fair, I did quite well out of EOS because I just arbitraged it because obviously for those that don't know, EOS was another layer 1 protocol, and I think back then everyone was kind of vying for like
who was the name the actor, the child actor?
Pierce, Block Pierce.
Brock Pierce,
Brock Pierce. Yeah, it's his project and Block 1. And yeah, so at that time there was all these other ones. I know there's layer 1s like launching now, but there was really like everyone was looking for like the Ethereum killer, right? And so
Neo,
they were very
remember Neo?
Yeah, I remember Neo.
And
that was
Shares.
Antshares that rebranded to Neo. And there's Tezos, there was so many other layer 1s, man. Like and they were different.
Bonk got bored right there. They had an ICO, I think, in 2018, early 2018.
Yeah.
And they raised a lot of money. And Cardano raised 200 million in private at that time.
They did, and Cardano did really well. Has objectively done well. I think you bought then. You bought early.
I bought Cardano twice at ICO price from the market.
Nice, because it dipped back down.
2 cents.
Wow. But yeah, like at that time, everything was vying, and like EOS had this year-long ICO, and what you could do is basically they had a certain amount distributed per day, and then off the back of that, however much Ethereum was raised, they would distribute it evenly across the Ethereum they raised, and there were sometimes you would get kind of like a loss if you did it, because what I do, I just recycle the Ethereum like. Buy it because you could. It was in the open market during the ICO, right? Like on Kraken, you could sell it.
Like
and so
DEX somehow. Like,
yeah,
it had liquidity.
Yeah, exactly. And I ran it up, not huge amounts, but I did okay from it. And my biggest regret is at one point I think EOS shot up to like $20 because it was going to be the big chain, it's going to be all chain, and I didn't sell. But I was thinking to myself, it's because at that time it was the same price as BNB or pretty close, and I was like, I could sell like a couple of thousand EOS and
buy
just
BNB,
and I didn't do it, and that is like
you wouldn't have been in this call.
Man, that would have been my best trade. I didn't do it though.
This podcast wouldn't be like this situation right now. Wouldn't be happening if you sold your EOS for BNB. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I mean, at that time, right? Like. Binance was just an exchange. I don't think anyone knew that like BNB was going to be what BNB became, essentially, another layer 1 protocol. Like,
I remember when Binance came out like as an exchange, I was thinking, I mean, these guys have to beat Bitrex and the Poloniex. I was like, this is unlikely.
Bitrex doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy.
Like it's one of the biggest fails. But when you're in the moment right now, even though you're an early adopter, even though it still feels like it's too late, like, come on, who's going to come and beat Bitrex, man? They are like, and Bitrex looked like fucking Ableton, man. When you wanted to go to buy a pair, it was like being in Excel, like writing VLOOKUP formulas there. It looked horrible, man. Buying crypto in 2017 was
hard.
Sure, like waiting for the confirmations in Ethereum of it was, it was congestionated. You waited for like 2 days, and the emotions of spending a lot of money on something that wasn't as proven as it is today. It's easy to feel safe today because we added 8 years since then.
It's
But
crazy.
you know, um, yeah, I mean, I think that era was pretty crazy. And after that, after the ICO era that created ideology and everything was the thing that we changed the world. 10x raised 100 million, if you remember.
I
10x
do
to
remember
create like
10x.
crypto debit cards, which never came out because they were too early, man, for the legal stuff. It's
Yeah.
not hard to do that today. Like technologically, it was just as possible then. Let's say not 100%, but the banking system is the same. It was the same banking system at that time with card providers, and all the entities that exist today for the cards that people use were still there at that
Yeah.
point.
I think the only difference now, I guess, now is people use their
Legal.
cards on their phones as well. Like that's maybe they're like, and so people are I guess back then people were less, moving from cash to like cards was hard, but then everyone wanted to use their cards, and that transition from cards to phone.
Regulatory, they weren't allowed to create that type of liquidity for crypto. Basically, it was because it seemed shady. But Monaco also raised. Monaco raised in the early part of 2017 when Ethereum was like $6. They raised about 3 million. But if you make some calculation and realized how much Ethereum they raised,
and they didn't sell it all.
and that's the thing, man. Monaco, which now is crypto.com, won by treasury management. That they fucking won by treasury management, man. They were like, spend low initially, wait for this to pop, start selling, DCAing, and
gosh, so it was about 300 million, right? They raised.
They raised 3 million.
3 million.
When Ethereum was like, I think $6 in March. Maybe I'm wrong.
Let's do some calculations. I'm just interested in like
March 2017. I remember they raised, and I want to see how much Ethereum was.
This is really interesting.
No, I'm really interested because I don't even think I can get 2000. No, wait a second. I want to go to 2017. So many years to go.
I know. It's crazy. It just moves so fast. Like to me, it only seems like a few years ago, and it's like all of a sudden we're in like 2025.
Yeah, it was 44. It was $44 Ethereum in 17 March 2017. Let me check something.
So 68,000. So they raised 68,000 Ethereum, essentially, roughly.
Yeah. 1 second. Let's see Monaco ICO. Oh, but they abandoned their Monaco. I will not treat this. This. I don't care about what the hell they did to their token. Yeah, I can't find, but I remember it was like in March. So, anyways, they made a lot of Ethereums and they won by treasury management, most of it, which is awesome. To be honest,
it's clever. And like now they obviously have CRO. They're big. They're a big company. The
biggest. I think they're Binance level. If you see them on all stadiums, you see like. Anyways, and after that, the second ICO boom came when there was a lot more creators, but also a lot more people demanding tokens. But the disparity was now lower because it was still at let's call it I won't call it an oligopoly, but it was still the difference between the demand and the supply was still pretty high. But this created like more realistic products. Okay, let's call it. And from that perspective, like decentralized exchange, like tech layers, like stuff like that, right? Let's call it a monopolistic competition because there were many creators and many people wanting to buy the tokens, and because the first fund died and this market died as well, and I'll get back to that market as well because I had my own ICO raising 2 million in 2022, and I will get back to how we did that and so on. But because of all those projects, most of them failed. Unprepared team, narrative-driven teams, courage before experience. It's
Yeah.
like it in most normal new market.
I think,
This whole pump fun era came because of that,
yeah, no,
which
no,
is
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. And I think like
it's
some of the kind of, we talked about this before on podcasts. It's like they raised too much money. They didn't need that much money for the team they had. And then obviously you get to a point and it's just like, well, we could all walk away with a few million as a small team, right? Like, what's the incentive to keep
only that
building?
because they raised so much money, they created the market when you needed so much money because developers started to be expensive. Listings started to cost hundreds of thousands, then millions, and that's because there was a supply of those kind of millions in the teams because they raised much. Teams raised so much that they created. There was inflation and prices came up. Like it's
Yeah,
simple. So
it's
it's
like
like
exactly. Yeah, it's supply and
inside
demand.
the industry. And when Pump Fun came out, it became like almost as economy creates a perfect competition. Many buyers, many sellers. Let's
Yeah.
call it. But it created a place where you could no longer raise from public to build something useful or cool or daring. You could only come with like a joke, and then if it catches on, you either rock because you don't know what you're doing, or you're using that money to build a product like Bonk did.
Yeah.
They created a meme and then went into products. But it's always the many that support the few in doing this thing. It's always that in crypto, like, and that's why it was so important that you left something for the secondary market. And if I may, I will tell you a small story on how we created our launchpad on the blockchain that you might have heard of, but maybe others haven't. And Kadena, KDA.
Remember that?
Kadena is like a proof of work blockchain with 20 chains in sharding. It had a cool story when we found it in 2021 because one of the advisors who created their smart contract language was Stuart Haber, which is one of the parents of blockchain, and he's the most mentioned person in the Bitcoin white paper. If you
Wow.
go there, like he has like 5 mentions by Satoshi. So we were like, fuck man, this is going to be the next Ethereum, maybe. We were like, proof of stake, maybe it's not the future. Maybe there's a niche for proof of work stuff. Anyways, so we were holding this Kadena. We bought it at 30 cents. And my friend of mine, who's Dr. Doomday, he kept calling me every day, man. We gotta sell this shit, bro. It's $2 and it's going to go down. And this is how his mind works, man. And he flooded me into selling my bag at $2. And in the next 3 weeks, it went to $28. I think we've made like $1 million or something from it. Okay, we are not going to sell the top. You cannot calculate like
Yeah, of
but
course.
still above 500K was possible with good DCAing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You were, as you see it go up, right? And if you were holding that volume,
Oh.
which you would have had been to get a few minutes, like you're going to be selling when it hits like, if it goes from like $2 to $5, and that happens quickly, right?
Yeah,
And then you see it maybe
sure.
dip back down to $4. You're like, well, cool, I'm going to sell a chunk and then just see
Yeah,
how it goes like that.
And I called this guy to my house, my friend, and told him, man, we got to build something on this chain. Otherwise, we will never recover from this mentally. And this guy had like an old project, which was kind of a launch pad, and we used that name. We worked for Kadena to create a website for them, like an agency way, because we wanted to get close to a blockchain team, maybe work for them. We didn't build anything by ourselves until then.
Yeah.
I worked in projects, as a marketing guy, but I wasn't a founder like 100%. But now I wanted to fund something. So we built this website for Kadena. We spoke to the team with the big guys. They said it's too extreme, but they did pay us. So we took that website we created for Kadena and rewrote the copy and created this idea of a new launchpad.
Right.
But the problems that the market had with launchpads at that point was that you had to lock like 30K worth of tokens to get an allocation of 200. So there was, how can we solve over demand in the fair way? There was so much over demand, man, for launchpad tokens. Like it was crazy how much you had to have in launchpad tokens to. Anyways, so we launched this. I have a case study I can send you later to read if you want how we did it. But for basically, we knew what we wanted to build, which is the opposite of what the market wanted, of what the market was doing, especially in BSC. There was a lot of meme, a lot of rounds before, people raising like they were like the sixth round, like retail buying on a launchpad, like were the sixth, and obviously because everybody sold everything in the ICO, people got dumped on in six different ways. So to sum it up, so we made a raise where basically everybody had one chance of buying 1.5K dollars worth of the token, and how we decided who enters the sale and who not on our own launchpad, by the way. So we built the launchpad and raised for ourselves, and we decided to participate based on how early they were on Telegram.
Okay.
So we built a system where you had like 10 lottery tickets for one participation if you were between the first 500 people, and then the later you came, the lower tickets you had. So we would basically allow the people who supported us for longer to participate, anyways, hard cap 2 million, everything was crazy. We got on Robert Kiyosaki's private group, and everything was everything was only narrative driven, product driven. It was product market fit in a blue ocean. Kadena had no launch pads, it was just the perfect timing. Kadena was pumping, and we spent zero.
You were able to raise like 2 million with nothing, essentially.
Zero spend, only our work. But the funny part was that we didn't raise as much as we could. So when we get to the secondary market, the token went up like 8 times or something. We never touched it. We never market make it. We had some strict rules which were opposing what the market was doing. Even our tokenomics was opposing, like at the other end of the world, like on BSC you had trillions because people were dreaming of the $1 SafeMoon to $1, and it was like,
oh God, I forgot about SafeMoon.
It would have been higher than the entire economy of the world,
Yeah.
And I was telling them, like, we have 10 million tokens. That's all. But the tokens is expensive. This narrative got people, we explained to people market caps. And just with this move of having 10 million tokens, our community, when people knew would come and say it's expensive, our community would defend us. Like, you don't understand market caps. Let me explain to you.
Yeah.
And injecting this type of, let's say, thought leadership into our community created like a real fanatic community of people. Like everybody was defending our solutions, let's say. Either way, we raised and created the theory for the best over-demand solving launchpad. And what happened next? All the demand disappeared. So we were solving a non-existent problem, and the ecosystem itself of Kadena started to go down badly. The token went from like 28 all-time high to like 30 cents, so 100x down. It went to shit. Like we built a marketplace as well. We said we are going to conquer this ecosystem, and when the market comes back, we are going to win. And we spent money, not a lot, like in dollar terms, but a lot of Kadena because it was becoming cheaper and cheaper.
Yeah.
So we basically blitzscaled ourselves into oblivion, and now we have some vault there. We are keeping some money there, which we are not spending until Kadena gets like $5 again, which is about like 10x from now. But it was a very nice, interesting experience because our token didn't go below the Kadena pair for a long time because it was hard to get. If something is hard to get and people don't have discounts, people won't sell it easily.
Yeah.
If you go to VCs and be like, you got 50% off, he's going to fuck you off instantly. Yeah. And it was funny because when we got on Robert Kiyosaki's group, I had like 30 or 40 chats with VCs saying like, everybody could have been a VC, like 5 friends having some money from and shares. They became a VC, let's say. But they were VCs and they're like, I want to buy 300K worth of the token before the ICO, I want to buy like 500K. I was like, best I can do is 1.5K, bro. And they would go insane. They were like, who is this idiot, man? I want to give him like 500K. And who the fuck is this idiot, And I because they were insistent, at some point I found a solution to get them in as well. Because I wouldn't think they would be so crazy to do it.
Yeah. But the problem is like those kind of people, they want to make a quick flip. They want to get in, dump out. So by creating like over demand and low supply by one point. Like it's a very fair launch, you know, like at a time where there wasn't lots of fair launches, right?
That's the way it worked. So I told them, look, you can come in. I will grant you access. I will give you 50 whitelist spots, but you need to do 50 KYCs with different people. 50 different KYC. We were using KYC Aid as a provider, which was working very well, you know. It's like, you got to do 50 KYCs, man. If you can pass 50 KYCs and buy 50 times with 50 different wallets, if you're going to go through all that effort,
you can have it.
It's almost as if it's 50 different people, because it is 50 different people, you know. I'm just making sure I'm hitting hard cap as well, you know. Yeah, and because of that, anyways, they bought a lot on the secondary market as well, and the rest is history. It went very well. It was fun. And at all this, because people, when I tell them this story, they say, yes, but the market was better. Man, this happened like 2 weeks after the Ukraine war started. So it was like, it was a hard time to have a raise. Nobody would. We had like the second highest raised in crypto in that month or something like that, or in those weeks, because it was impossible to do anything else on other ecosystems. And then in the summer, we had a client on our launchpad. They raised 850K, and it was like 1 week after Bitcoin came below 20K for the first time since 2017 or something. And then everything died down. Like, it's still dead.
It is objectively, like, I mean, okay, Solana's back up. Ethereum's obviously just got below its all-time high recently, but most alts are still like 80 to 90% down. Like,
memes are worse. And even if you say Solana is better, it's better because recently people made some money. But one of the big, like, the rule is simple: if people make money, they'll rotate, and they the works. But when Trump token came and Libra and all that shit, they draw out so much liquidity from the market that Solana seems just as dead as the others, because people say, yeah, but tokens still launch on pop fun. It's market makers fucking around with each other, man.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
Who are kind of extracting from each other right now. But the retail, I have a dApp on Solana as well called Barfight, which is like a community battle arena. It's streamed. It's a liquidity game. It's some crazy shit where second place wins. I'm going to tell about it at some point later, maybe.
Yeah.
And, you know, that requires people to have a community. And I'm going through Peanut, through the big tokens, through the small tokens. We have a game like with 4 projects 2 weeks ago. 52 people showed up. It was the highest level of participation we had, 52 people. And we were happy with 52 people because it costs to play. It's like a small gamble. But
yeah,
it's hard to get 50 people in a spaces right now in Solana. Like 50 real people.
It's crazy. And that's because retail is, I think the unfortunate, like, meme coins are good in this space now, because the problem we have now is when projects launch, right? They launch at crazy market caps that people, it's very unlikely that's gonna make them 2x at most, right? If it does, if they're launching at a few hundred million. But most of them, like, look at Pump Fund when it did a pre-sale launch. Pre-sale was just like taking money. So meme coins now, I was talking to somebody else about the podcast, I never talk about this, Anton, and he was saying that, like, it's the only right now fair playing field, right? Where, yes, okay, you have snipers and people who can like buy up all the tokens at the bottom, but generally speaking, it's the most fair playing field where you're starting at a similar price, and it, you know, if it goes, it will run, and that's where you can make your most money effectively. But most is something like 90% or 95% of people have lost money with meme coins, right? And that's the reality. And it's like, so many people have been burned so badly that retail is just, in my opinion, not interested at the moment. They're just
non-existent. It's non-existent, man.
Right now, it's just institutional.
People have been smelling, like, people have been touching so much grass for the past like 5 months or 6 months.
I'd say even year, man. Like last year, there was a point where things started to like run up. I was like, here we go, alt season. And then, you know, going into Trump coming in, everyone was like really happy. Then he releases his token.
No more grass left untouched, man. Everywhere it's like the grass is greasy. If you go and touch grass right now, it's like greasy from the hands of all the people who touched it.
Yeah, it's just apparently because they will now work at McDonald's. That's
yeah, if But I think that we are going towards a time where where it's going to come back to, because look, now the projects who want to build something, they raise in private and then they come into token like in public to raise on the launchpad. So maybe there are 3 rounds instead of one. And it's normal because the people who buy their token cheaper are basically taking a bigger risk, right? Because there's nothing for the pre-seed is nothing. These guys have an idea. I maybe have seen some of their past work, but I haven't seen them build. We don't know if product market fit will happen. Blah blah blah. And they get money and they start raising. They're starting, creating a website, getting some, some attention from the people. And basically, when the public comes to buy, it's probably 5x because product market fit is expensive. And you can see it on Pump Fund, basically, because there's product market fit for memes as well. It does it catch on or does it not? And if you look on Pump Fund, like 99.9% die.
Yeah.
So it's expensive. It's a low occurrence to have product market fit on something. And that's why, people get to buy tokens now if you see like Mega-ETH and other new blockchains that came out, and they're coming out at this point, many of them have the same old recipe on a new chain, because if you can conquer all the attention on your new chain, you can say like I'm building a DEX, and they just create a website and say join whitelist, or and then they have like 3,000 people who subscribe to a logo and a cool website with some effects and a cool, let's say, idea. And then with those 3,000 people, they go to an investor and say like, guys, look how much interest we have in this to build a new DEX on this new chain, give us 500K and we start building it, They build 500K and then they do what Hyperliquid did. They build some system where people get points for participating. Okay, and then more people come to get points because it's free future money.
Yeah.
Now they have like 20,000 people and they go back to the investor and it's like, man, we got to go for the second round because look. And at the time they hit the market, to hear about all those craze, like I had a $1,000 airdrop and all that,
Yeah.
Remember Celestia? Tia?
No. Oh, yeah, I do.
Look at it now. I mean, it draws so much attention for, let's call it. It's a cool idea, but it's nothing worth that much. Kind of money. It's an information layer for blockchains. Okay, cool, bro. It's cool, but did you really need like 100,000 people to airdrop to?
No, of course not. But it's also like because I know people that farm airdrops, right? Like they're hot on it. And a lot of them have done really well from Hyperliquid, and like it's sort of free marketing in a way, because you're like, well, it's worth doing it because you get free money.
You go too high above the cliff. So Hyperliquid was a good example because they also managed to make it well, which is a combination of like, let's say, when you go TGE, right? It's narrative, market timing, and market making. Yeah. If you can make people believe that if they sell, it's going to go up, dump it hard, they dump it hard, they get it back up, nobody has the car to sell anymore.
No.
I'm not saying this shit, man,
Hey, I've been on many a time I've held tokens and then they've gone to like astronomical amounts and I've been like, I should probably sell some, but this kit could go up more and then I don't sell and then it crashes down. Like, yeah, honestly, the amount of times is unreal.
Celestia tried as well, but they did it so hardcore that they got caught in their own game in the market, and they were probably, they're like, let's let them capitulate and they will get it back up later, So yeah, from the TG perspective, I'm saying this because I see a lot of I'm getting some job offers for this exact job of going into projects that need to do a TGE. Like we raised in private, we created this MVP, we used it to give people some kind of points for participating, and now we have to create a token, have a public launch, and then TGE. And then the problem is, how much did you promise the people in the past you're going to give them from Airdrop's perspective, How much? So I see it a lot. I see a lot this narrative, which is cool because it means that people raise money in private to build things, not only memes.
It does.
This
and
is signal.
Yeah, it is. I think the signals are there. I think a lot of what's happening now. I think a lot of the reason. I think people think it's been pushed back because of Trump and everything happens to Trump, and I think maybe that's a playing factor. But I really think the liquidity hasn't been coming in because of where interest rates are right now. And that's really been the thing that's been very different from previous cycles, right? And
Retail liquidity mainly from your perspective, but yeah, also because it got out, the liquidity was here. The main problem was that it was extracted by the Trump thing, because the liquidity was here. People sold memes to get into Trump token to buy back their original position and make, like, I'm holding Bonk, I'm going to get into Trump and maybe have like twice as much Bonk as I used to have. Because people are like radicalists, they love their tokens, some of them. And they want to like go up the ladder a bit, come back, and they got dumped on. In the end, what happened was those meme coins were dumped, and they never recovered because people never made out their money.
No, because Trump kind of went really quickly, and I do think like what Bonk have done though as a meme project, right? As it started off as a meme coin is amazing.
Not great, Bonk is
like Bonk is like it's so funny as well because at one time I think Bonk's launchpad was being utilized more than Pump Fund, and then Pump Fund launched at a higher market price when the token launched. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. It's gonna even out surely, because if more people are utilizing Bonk's launchpad than Pump Funds, it can't be worth more than Bonk long term.
Well, why were they utilizing it? Because in the end, the model of creating a token was the same, right?
Yeah.
It's how much money am I willing to put into tokens to pump them? Because look, man, it's marketing. I'm going to invest my own money made out of my own meme to create this success of people making money off tokens on Bonk. How? I'm going to spend those money to make people money a bit, to create this story, which draw people in, created the fees that they made daily, which probably helped them raise more private money. And so it was all like a numbers game, but also a perceived value game,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it. It's just rotating the money you get in to then kind of market it. It's kind of like classical, successful business mantra, right? Like you make profit, you use that instead of just taking that profit, you use that profit to reinvest and then grow, and then so yeah, it makes sense. But it's interesting, and I think the space now is different. It is very, I mean different in that I think every cycle has its certain thing that makes it pump, right? And I think the last one was really based around like NFTs. I think the one before that was really like ICOs. Obviously, there's other things happening at the same time. I mean, I don't know how deep you were in the trenches, but like every conversation I've had, and I've mentioned tomb forks, not a single person knows about them. Do you know about tomb forks?
Tomb forks.
Yeah, so like Tomb. Do you remember Tomb? It was like a rebasing project. So similar to, oh gosh, the name escapes me. Anyway, it was very degen.
No, but what is it? Maybe I've heard of it. I was in the trenches. I mean, I was one of the like first 5% users of Vector.fun. I used that as well. It was a cool product. So I've been deep in the trenches because my product requires me to be in CTOs and get people to participate in games. So I had to be there, but I don't know this one that you're telling me.
So there was a project, it was a rebasing project called Tomb, and then basically they would try and peg their native token to $1, but you would have obviously sort of interest paid every few hours, and essentially it was a Ponzi, just a giant Ponzi scheme. Yeah. And but from that you had like tons and tons and tons of forks that kind of like copied the same format and then relaunched, and everyone was just getting in, because if you get in early, it would start off at like something crazy, like a few thousand APR, even maybe more, and then it would drop drastically. And so if you went like early with
started, like even in proof of stake, if you went in early, you got a lot of APR, and then it went down.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always like early participation is always priced well.
Yeah, it is, and I guess that's why everyone was like launching from one one project to the next project that was forking and doing the next one, because they're like, well, this is a new one, so if I'm in it for like a few hours, as long as it didn't rug, which some of them did have rugs and some of them did obviously like had sketchy devs, but if they didn't do that, you would make your money back in like a couple of days instantly. It was crazy. And it was just like, it was a massive frenzy. And essentially all you needed is one or two people to sell and just crash it. Yeah, well, which would happen.
When you're risking lower amounts, you're doing it to gain a lot.
Yeah.
But these things work because market makers and people who are putting in a lot of money, they want to make like 10% on a lot. When with 10% on a lot, they move the market so much that if you are early, you're maybe going to make a 10x or 5x, because they come in with so much liquidity for that 10%, and they play like a 3-month game maybe to make that kind of money, because 10% of a lot of money is a lot of money,
Yeah, and they're not going to be getting that anywhere else in like traditional finance.
So they come out and they're like, when they decide they made their money, that they get out of that and the liquidity draws. And if you made screenshots, you're done, you go like legs down. If you sold, you made your money. But people don't sell, man. People don't sell. And this type of moving chairs, basically most people don't understand why tokens grow, which is funny, because it creates the type of, I was reading in Hooked, the book, one of the books I love, that the most addictive part of the brain is the addiction to variable rewards. So when you go and you play a slot machine, draw press the button, and which each screen that you see, your brain is like, I'm going to get the sevens. I'm going to get a line of sevens. The brain always thinks ahead for the best case scenario, and you're giving it that, and it's like, what am I going to get this well? Reels, when you do that with reels, and it's always like new entertainment. I don't know what I'm going to get, but it's going to get entertaining, which is it's real. So this is the addiction to variable rewards, and it's the same for tokens. When I'm going to buy these tokens, I don't know. It's very important that you don't know, because if you do know, it's no more. It's not a variable reward anymore. That if it's not random and you understand that it's an investment. Yeah. But when you don't know and you just everything you have is hope and imagination, it's just the NFTs. If you bought the NFTs from the secondary market and you saw them, it was because somebody bought like hidden. I'm going to get the one of one. You buy NFTs, it's hidden. You don't know what you're going to get, but in your head, you're going to get the best treats and the rarity. It's variable rewards. And the whole crypto market is piggybacking on that,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it's a very good way to kind of like explain it as well, because let's be honest, with meme coins, you can't consider it an investment, especially like unless you're insider trader and this guy who wants to and I was wondering about meme coins, right? It's a really good way, I guess, to wash money, right? Like, I don't know if that's what happens. I just making a massive assumption that does, because it seems like to me, you have this dirty money from whatever, and then you want to get it, so you could just buy these tokens, then you put that money into those tokens, right? Then you take it out and be like, hey, I made all these gains on this token I put the money in. That's how I made this money.
It is. I mean, from a perspective, I understand. From many perspectives, I understand memes as well. It's cool that they happened and that they're happening, because it's like tokenized brands.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can win the public, if you can win the user base in a way, and you have the user base, you kind of deserve the model.
Yeah.
Somehow, because it's the attention market. Right?
It is.
It's the attention market. So,
and
it's true, because these tokens, having no products and so on, and having no official teams, when they rocked, they created this CTO, this idea of community takeover. CTO is community takeover. I'm not telling the people who might.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So it's basically, I'm going to adopt the token. I have like 100K, you have 100K, my buddy has some money as well. We think like this narrative has died down too quickly. I think we can run it up again. run it back again, as they used to say. And I'm going to create an X for it. I have some KOLs friends, I'm going to create a Telegram. I'm going to tell people, hey, come here. This is the new leadership of these tokens. We're going to run it back up, And then I start putting money into market making. I buy a DEX screener boost. I buy a CTO trends and other type of marketing products that gets me exposure. But I am buying the token and I'm pumping it. So I'm giving the idea to everybody that this is like organic growth, which basically creates the organic growth because people will come in for this lure,
Yeah, and also people will watch it come. Like if a token starts to pump out of no reason, like people are watching those things. They want to get on that trend. Like, okay, let's look at the fundamentals. Then they'll join the Telegram group, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, this is a community takeover. This might pump now. Let me get involved.
Smart money have bots which look at other smart money's money, and they see, oh, this guy bought this token. I'm going to get in. They have auto buys. That there are a lot of bots who have auto buys on other big wallets. So if I'm one of the big wallets and 3 other of my friends were to, they're going to orchestrate that in a way that their buys, they bring in new people, they market making a bit. And that's the success part when they have all this plan. Sometimes though, they create this and they just, pump it a bit and then drain the chart. People buy the dips. So there's also the idea of farming the CTOs, farming people, which is mostly what happens in the past months after the Trump era. Most of them were just a big week and then farming down and dying down, But yeah, from that perspective, I was actually thinking of a product with some friends. We applied to Alliance, the DAO, one of the accelerators, with a product that basically it's a Telegram bot that allows CTO teams to raise money from their communities for specific marketing goals. For example, I want to buy a DEX screener boost. It's, let's say, $300 the pack, okay?
Yeah. So then everyone, they basically, it's like a Patreon, essentially, but inside Telegram groups.
Yeah, they can chip in, whatever. They can chip in. They see the bar moving towards the goal. And when the goal is met, the AI agent goes and buys the boost. So it's basically a trustless layer because otherwise I'm going to give this secure team some money, which I might not trust.
Yeah, no, that's happened to me before. Like I've been in community takeover telegrams and been like, all right, I'll give you half a soul, and then never see that again because they disappear.
Yeah,
and so that's a really good idea. Really good idea.
It's like transparent. I'm seeing, and I'm not the only one who's putting in. The Telegram bot comes and be like, Andrei put in some money. And we put in some money, this guy put, and it creates like FOMO for supporting projects. And when it's like a buy bot, but it's like, and then it fucking buys the product. And then it says, well, it's bot, you're training index screener. Bam. So we wanted to build that and give it a layer of gamification. Basically, 95% of the money would go towards the marketing goal and 5% would go towards a leaderboard and basically rank projects based on how much marketing spend they have. Because look.com is like ranking people by how many likes they have, okay? Daily engagement likes. But, this is something real, man. How much marketing spending is it done by the community? And then
it becomes a real community. That's such a good idea. Really good idea. Are you doing it or like not?
I want to do it, but I couldn't find funding for it. Anyways, so...
VCs, I mean, I don't know where you're looking for funding for it. I guess it's like one of those things. It's like maybe it has to just be built and done. But I can see it being in the trenches. I can see that something like that doing really well. I really can.
I came up with this idea, but the problem is that I'm coming up with the idea now when people don't have money. They won't support their project because it's the other way around. It's projects that pay riders to do stuff like that. People won't even give you their attention for free. It's that kind of market right now. So the idea was that the leaderboard, the 5% from everybody, would then be drawn in a lottery, and the supporters of the King of the Hill would get like 50% of the whole pool from everybody. And then 2 more projects. So it creates like this kind of variable rewards that, okay, you help your projects, but you also get a lottery. Projects get new holders, So I will send you the pitch deck for the idea, by the way. We participated in Alliance DAO with it, and we got booted. which is a shame because it was a good idea. Probably the idea was not big enough.
Yeah, but I mean, why wouldn't it be? Like, I think if you don't understand how many people are in these CTO groups or in these Telegram groups, right? Like, then maybe, but even it doesn't even have to be a CTO, right? It could just be a developer that's launched a coin and doesn't have the funds, but they're like, hey, let's all run this up together. Here's my wallet. I'm not going to dump on you guys. Let's do this.
Or it's almost dead token that did well in the past. They didn't die out. They still want to build. They have built, but they don't have marketing money. Because there's a lot of dead tokens which will come from when markets start pumping. I'm making money on Solana, let's say, and I want to support my tokens on Kadena as well, which is laggard behind because it's a smaller chain.
Yeah.
And I will go there and help the teams, pump up the ranks,
That's true.
Yeah, this was our idea for Lions DAO, but yeah, we didn't make it. Then we thought about the right bot because there is I think there's a way of utility first community building. This is an idea of utility first community building. I make a right bot that the teams just the other way around than the marketing bot. I'm putting $100 there in escrow. Simple, you see the bar. First 10 people can win the money if they write based on how much activity they did. Like, there are write bots that do this, but in a very complex way with leaderboards. Simple. And people participate, they might make money in a trustless way. Because again, riders come with the promise of being paid by the CTO teams and unable to get paid. This is a time when if you win the riders, man, you're going to win the bot war, because the next level of riding, if you get upgraded as a rider, what are you going to become? An admin. Okay. And who's installing the bots?
The admins.
So you're winning your future salespeople.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And that'd be for people that don't understand that, like, how do you best describe raiders? So if you go onto Twitter and like pump like every time there's a post made about a meme coin or a token, they'll go on and they'll kind of boost that or a comment. They're usually the best ones. And I was part of a project where Elon Musk liked the comment because of raiders. They went in and they raided, and it boosted the price of the token astronomically. Again, I didn't sell, so I walked away with a little bit of profit, but not not the top. And yeah, like they will often become admins of the groups. You're right, and so if you kind of focus on them, you're focusing on the future, as it were.
Because what riders do, it's paid engagement. I'm going to pay you to engage with my stuff, so the algorithms see it and organically other people see it. So yeah, I've done that. I've kind of made the thesis for this, but I couldn't even raise. I think I could do that with 20 or 30K to start with. To be honest, to build the bot, to build the systems, and have some marketing on it. But I'll see. I linked it to Barfight, to our project, because we wanted to apply to Alliance DAO, and we thought that Barfight in itself, I will explain the game so you understand. It's basically, we were in Dubai 2024, when the flood came. You remember the crazy flood from Dubai?
Yeah.
We were like on a yacht, but not at sea, like at a party, and the flood came and we couldn't leave, and we started to talk to people, and me and my partner Alex, and we kind of got to the point where we saw the link between memecoin trading and streaming, which is what Pump Fun is doing right now. But we thought, okay, we're going to build a game where people can basically gamble on meme coins while somebody is streaming, like something which we didn't make sense of. So, but we built it. We built Barfight. And then I started to think like, okay, but the outcomes for people when they are gambling are not so easy, like buying low and selling high. The outcomes are a bit complex because you are owning a stake of that token, but you voted for the other as well. So you're going to make like 15% off maybe. So we thought, okay, we need to put another layer above this. We cannot make the game being only the game. So we said, this is a community battle where only the real communities win.
That's
then
cool.
it created the idea that you gotta be there and play for your meme coin. We only had 3 games, but the game is like this: everybody is upvoting their project with Solana. All that Solana is going into a pool, the same pool.
Yeah.
The end of the game, the project that wins gets market bought by the pool and then sent back to the people who voted for it. So one project is taking the liquidity from the other 2 and sends it back to the people who upvoted for it. So people make money off supporting their project. But there was a catch. There's a catch. Second place wins.
Ah.
And why? Well, because otherwise it's just pay to win.
Yeah.
If first it's pay to win, but if second place wins, I can upvote you to first place.
I can. So you're fighting by upvoting the others.
and we had games and people had fun. We had streaming. It was nice, but it's still very hard. In a normal market, I would have been like, I would have told you right now what a cool ICO I'm doing, and I have a token. But in this market, because there are so few communities, it's like me trying to make this happen and in parallel trying to find a job.
Yeah.
And then to help other people's dreams or something like that, because this is the market we are in.
It is right now. And that's true. And it kind of like harks back to, retail is not there. And it's just institutional money and market makers that are, even to the level of like conversations I've had, that huge market makers are essentially playing with Bitcoin, because it is a huge market cap, but you don't need that much Bitcoin to manipulate the price, right? And it seems to keep happening of like, whenever we have a run up, then loads of longs, then all of a sudden it goes down, then they get all liquidated, then all of a sudden all these shorts pop up, then it pumps back up, and who's making money?
The game being done in S&P and stuff like that for years, but it's a slower pace, but still, when Bitcoin goes all-time high, it goes up so fast to a new all-time high because shorts are being liquidated. And when shorts are being liquidated, what do? They market buy, right? Because it's a future market buy position. So they market buy at higher prices than they should have because they're short, and they get liquidated. And because they like, the wick goes up and it liquidates the next guy and creates a stupid green candle, which also happens with longs when they which creates market sells, right? Which makes it go down even further and gets the wick to liquidate other people. Yeah, so hopefully the retail will be back. I'm looking at Mega Eat right now. I'm thinking of moving Barfight on Mega Eat.
Really? How come?
Well, on a new chain, people care.
Yeah.
People fucking care, man. If you're going to come with a new app on a new chain, which is like better than something they've seen on the other chain, that's for them confirmation bias that their chain is cool. They're already invested in the chain itself. They want all the possible reasons in the world to be even more believing in that. And if you're going to be one of the reasons, they're going to support your project. They're like, fuck, man, we have this on Mega 8. You don't have it in Sui.
Yeah. I mean, Sui's a bit of a weird one. Like, everyone was talking like Sui's going to be the next Solana and it's much better and everything. And I'm like, it's okay.
Technically, yeah, it's fine. But
yeah, exactly. It's like
Sonic as well. Very promising. It's EVM. It's hard to know who's going to win the battle, to be honest. It's hard to know who's going to be the chain because it's still early. Remember when I was saying, it's not like Binance will come and beat Bittrex. It's still the same time for chains, because you still don't see like institutional adoption besides holding. I mean, using, sure, there are a couple of things that they are using on chain stuff, but do you remember IOTA?
No, I don't. IOTA. Yeah, sorry, yeah, I do. Yeah, they were so promising.
I had a long on IOTA, with a $500 long. I made like 30K in the past boom. That long, I wouldn't close it. But then it was a 20x long and 500, and it went from 40 cents to a couple of dollars, and it was fun. They were using an airport in Germany. Their DAG there, because it's not a blockchain, it's was used. Okay, go.
Yeah.
But still, you get my point, because we have been used to so much like high market caps, to a point where you cannot create that type of value in the real world.
Yeah.
Like, even if, I don't know, the whole galaxy uses Solana for the intergalactic trades, still market cap, of some of the projects is questionable.
I think it's completely down to a supply and demand, right? Like, it's yes, okay, this much Bitcoin is circulating, but actually when you look at the exchanges, you look at the liquidity providers, market makers and stuff, how much real Bitcoin is actually traded is a fraction of that. And that's why overall it makes like a huge market cap, but actually the reality is it's not that.
The liquidity was a lot higher and the price impact was lower, those market caps wouldn't happen. But bubbles are very good. Bubbles are good, The .com bubble created a lot of projects, because if everybody's focusing in an exact point, the people in that point will find solutions for the future.
Yeah.
Most of them will be shit, but some of them will be like life-changing.
Like Amazon, Google.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And that can only happen in bubbles, because if things are slow, and maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, things out. Look at like augmented reality was a bubble that kind of died out because of technical, let's say, hurdles.
Yeah.
The technical market, like batteries, the chips weren't ready to handle that type of processing, like the metal Googles that they're doing right now. It's going to come back, but it was the same with Netflix. I was reading in Blitzscaling a couple of years back that Netflix started as, like, they always wanted to make the streaming, like the streaming business, but the internet was so slow at that point in the early 2000s that there was no way to do that global. In Romania, we already had like fiber optics in 2007 or something, 2006.
That's crazy.
Because we missed the dial-up and we jumped to the latest.
Well, why bother with dial-up when you just go straight to fiber optic?
Yeah, I was downloading torrents because I was in Eastern Europe at the time, and I'm still am, but we weren't the EU. I was downloading torrents with 8 megabytes per second, like 80 Mbps, whatever.
That's crazy.
And,
back then, I mean, like obviously now it's all common.
That, what Netflix did, they started with sending the video tapes to the people's homes.
Yeah, I remember that. And it was before it was that, it was it had a different name as well. What was it called? I can't remember. It had a different name when it was made, and then it became Netflix, and then
because there was no net to Netflix. But it was something that had like some delivery kind of idea.
Did you know that Blockbuster also were at a certain point had the opportunity to buy Netflix?
Buy them and we cut them off. Yeah, it's crazy, man. So from this perspective, I think that being part of the trenches and so on, you can come up with ideas like the marketing bot.
No, it's cool. It's a cool idea, and I think you touched on it now in a bubble. My personal belief is, and I could be completely wrong, I don't think we've seen the real crypto bubble. Everyone talks about like, yes, it bubbles and pops, like in like the cycles we've had, but I don't think we've seen a true bubble in the space like the likes that the .com had, right? And
I think that the bubble that we've seen in 2017 was far higher from the level of bubble that we had right now, considering how many people were involved with it at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, like Bitcoin is 5 times higher than the all-time high in 2017, but we are probably 60, 70, 100 times more people in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, and no institutions at that point. And now we have institutions. So I kind of agreed with you, and I don't know how people say there won't be an altcoin season anymore, but I fail to see why, because
it happens it happened in 2001, right? Where everyone was like, no, alt season's not coming. There's not going to be another alt season. Then all of a sudden, 2 weeks in, it's like, woof, everything's...
You know why? Because at the point where Bitcoin reaches its potential...
Yeah, everyone cycles it goes down.
People need to recycle. I mean, like, okay, I've made money off Bitcoin. I want more Bitcoins.
Yeah.
And it's when the link is being made between selling Bitcoin and buying Ethereum, that's when it starts.
Yeah, well, it's flipping now. Like Ethereum, the market cap of Ethereum is coming up.
At Bitcoin dollars as well is going down. So it's happening right now, but then they made money off Ethereum. I'm not going to recycle into Solana, but I might go to like Kadena or Cardano or something Cardano is still high, but I can go like top 50 projects. And after that, top 100 projects. And after that, ICOs. And after that, NFTs. And it's gone. It's done.
That's the end.
That's peak game. It's still the game.
But I think
the idea for NFTs that I will tell. Unfortunately, I'm not afraid of people stealing my ideas. But you know how people used to say that Bitcoin has no intrinsic value, but you would tell them, look, man, it costs to mine them.
Yeah.
It's a short conversation. If it costs me to make it, it has an intrinsic value.
It is. Yeah, well, I mean, it's also the kind of like the whole argument is like, well, you know, we utilize gold. The amount of gold we actually utilize to what we speculate the price on, it's not correlated. It's like we're overpriced if we're saying it based on off like actual use, right? So it's like everything. Things only have value if people perceive them to have value. And right now, people perceive Bitcoin to have value.
It's a social handshake. Like it's something that.
But the same with money. The same with everything, really.
Yeah. So, art used to say that it doesn't have an intrinsic value. And I was thinking about this idea, how many people support a project and it makes a lot of money because of that. And how there are too many things on the market to focus. And the idea came because AI agents are also very present at this point.
They are.
An app where people co-create one single NFT in phases, and they have to pay for the prompts. They have to go into like a bidding war to make. So I come up and say, the base idea of this is this, okay? And the AI agent creates like the base. And then people have to bid to add layers. I want this to go this way. I want this to go. And then each time people bid, it's more expensive because it starts from how much people have spent before it. Because if people have already spent to create this artwork, you cannot come for the same price. It's like with pre-seed. It's more expensive to go over when people worked on it. And each person who bids for a prompt has fractional ownership of that artwork based on how much from the pool they own, okay? At the end, the last person might have to like spend 10K to name the artwork. Like the last name is to name the NFT. And then at the end, maybe the NFT cost 15K to make, and it's being put for auction. And because so many people tried to bid and failed,
the demand is there.
Intrinsic value, like proof of work in Bitcoin, it has an intrinsic value, but people have put thought and money to create it. It becomes like this piece of artwork that people have to bid on. And to avoid this stupid idea of so many things being created, it's going to be one per day. Maybe this is going to be even the name, one per day.
It's cool. I like it. I like that idea. It's fun. And see, there's a lot of stuff now, right? And a lot of conversation I'm having is people trying to create boring things. Like really, like a lot of people are focusing on RWAs, which I think are important. Don't get me wrong, and I think they're going to play a part in everything, especially the institutional side. Yeah, but like a lot of this fun stuff there's not a lot of that happening, or maybe it is. Maybe I'm just not in the right conversations with them. I thought I was in the trenches.
People have become more cynical because of the market. So the market did get us to be more cynical, to be like, it's also complex. This is a pretty complex, fractional ownership and stuff like that. But
that's where the true kind of the true ethos of this space came from, right? Like that's really where it comes from, and like the whole decentralized nature of it all, fractional ownership, no one really being the oligarch that controls it all. Like that's really the fundamentals of it all. And I think we've really lost that essence, my opinion is anyway, in a lot of the conversations I'm having, because I think a lot of people are just jaded, right?
Yeah. But I think that once money comes back, I think this type of thing, that this NFT play is something that you could do on something like Mega ETH. Because if the whole ecosystem if you have the attention of the whole ecosystem, people will play. People will come. People will have money from the main chain because it's going to pump. Obviously, that's why they're there, because people who made that chain have the kind of money to make it to do well, right?
Yeah.
The people who own the chain token will have some disposable income to support the projects building on the chain, and they will come and have fun. And I'm even thinking of moving Barfight on a new chain because it's extremely hard to get Solana people to care, man.
Yeah. Because Solana equals meme. That's it. I think, unfortunately, that's the reality.
Even in Barfight, I have a meme product. It's with memes, but people don't care. They just like, they have become like totally opposite, cynical 100%. And no fractional ownership. No, as you were saying, it's very far from the ethos of what crypto should be, which maybe is why they will get a lot of adoption, because they're closer to what people understand. But I don't know. I still think there's a lot of things that we can do. I've told you 2 ideas that I want to do, which
If anyone does do them watching this podcast, make sure you look after Andrei.
Or just come and invest, and I will do them. Don't worry.
No, definitely, man. Yeah. Well, I think it's a good, because we've been chatting for over an hour and we could keep talking for ages. But I think it's a good time to wrap up. Is there any plugs or anything you want to say before we finish up?
I loved our conversation. Hopefully, I didn't speak too much, but
no, not at all, man. It was really interesting.
It's rare that you can talk to somebody and throw in ant shares and they get it.
But that's the thing, man. Like, a lot of people came into this space in 2021, right? Like, that's where majority of people, and they don't know what it was back then. And I think all of us, like, we all did okay, right? Like, I made some money, but I if I made the right trades, I would be and actually change my EOS to BNB.
Well, EOS to BNB, man. I didn't sell my Kadena. It's 20-something.
Yeah, it happens. But we have had some wins. You sold at some money, and so we were there at the beginning, and it's changed so much. And I hope that it kind of, because back in 2017 it was amazing. It was all very even I found myself a little bit cynical, right? Like, right then it was all like, I bought into a lot of the narratives of like, we are going to change things. We're breaking things. We're making molds. We're going to create something that's going to be...
Everything was a manifesto.
Yeah.
The style of communication was in a manifesto, and like, this is wrong. We're going to do right.
It was copying. Yeah, it was copying.
And I loved it. I love that energy, man. I miss that energy. I want to create that type of like, with the NFT project, I want to create that type of thing. Like, man, everything... Like, many are supporting one. What if many are creating? Many are co-creators of the same thing, Sometimes you got to go, like, in different behaviors.
It's true. When you, instead of, one person wins, you all win. Like, that's a kind of, like, ideology that sort of had in the early days. And I think it's just been tainted a bit because you have more sophisticated financial instruments that have come in, or market makers or whatever, and they're just manipulating a lot of the market and stuff. And I think that's why retail is getting burnt. Yeah. The one thing I will say about meme coins, which I think is a fair point about them, is that I said, obviously we all start at the same starting point and that respect as well. But like, also, no one buys a meme coin not knowing the risks, right? No one buys a meme coin thinking, well, this meme coin is going to be the next generation X and I'm investing in this project. You buy a meme coin and you hope, you were talking about hope, you hope it's going to go up, and that's what you build it on, and it might do, but you don't, fully well that it's a very, very risky asset and it could go to zero. You don't go in going...
That's why the volatility.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if it had like some sort of perceived utility in the future, like, I'm not selling this now because they're going to come out with their product and it's going to do this and that. But when that doesn't happen, as soon as things move down a bit,
everyone's like, sell. That's true. It just spirals. Every meme coin just spirals to zero because when one whale sells, they go, yep, no, I'm good with my 100K. Boom, everyone goes, the whale sold. Everyone's selling. Sell.
And then the CTO comes.
Yeah.
One more time. I've seen third time CTOs. I've seen a project that got CTO'd 3 times.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, thank you so much, Andre. Really, I really appreciate this conversation, and we should definitely do another one in the future if you're up for it. And yeah, let's definitely keep in touch.